Picture this. It's 2015. You hand over $1,000 and in return, you get the keys to a decent apartment. Life is good. Now, flash forward to today. You hand over that exact same $1,000 and all you get is the right to drive a Honda Pilot. This shows how the baseline has moved. Over 17% of Americans financing a new car right now have a monthly payment of $1,000 or more. Let that sink in. Look at the morning commute. 1 in 6 people on the highway right now are basically driving a mortgage. We brag about the leather seats and massive touchscreens, but we whisper when it comes to the financing. Millions of people are quietly drowning in car debt, masking a silent crisis behind the standard utility of a Toyota RAV4. Imagine you walk onto a car lot. You have your eye on a shiny new SUV, and a salesman, let's call him Gary, approaches. Gary doesn't ask you what your total budget for the car is. He asks the most dangerous question in personal finance. What do you want your monthly payment to be? Dealerships figured out a long time ago that human brains struggle with big math. If Gary says, this car costs $60,000, your brain throws a red flag. It panics. But if Gary says he can get you in that car for just $899 a month, your brain relaxes. You make $3,000 a month. You feel like you can easily swing that. This psychological blind spot is the opening Gary needs. By focusing on that one monthly number, he bypasses your financial defenses and starts the spiral. Historically, you took out a car loan for 3, maybe 4 years. You paid it off, drove it payment-free for a while, and life went on. But then vehicle prices began to skyrocket while wages remained stagnant. To keep selling cars to people who couldn't actually afford them, banks stretched the loans out. 5 years became standard, then 6, and now? Welcome to the era of the 84-month car loan. That is 7 years. Let's say you buy a new truck today. By the time you make your final payment, we will be in the next decade. Think about that timeline. The battery will have died twice, the tires will be long gone, and the new models will make this one look like a relic. Stretching the debt over 84 months guarantees you'll be crushed by interest. Because you're paying for so long, the bank labels you a higher risk and charges a higher rate to match. This chart shows the true cost of that risk. You might buy a $40,000 car, but after 7 years of interest, the bank has extracted $55,000 from you. That extra cost is a problem, because cars are the worst investment on the planet. They drop in value the second you drive them off the lot. Watch what happens when we map the loan against value. The green line shows your balance dropping slowly over 7 years. The red line shows the car's value, which plummets almost immediately. Eventually, those lines reach an intersection. At this specific mathematical crossover, you stop owning an asset. You are now officially holding a liability that is losing value faster than you can pay for it. Life happens. Maybe 2 years in, you have a kid and decide you need a minivan. You take your truck back to Gary and he tells you it's only worth $25,000 now. But you look at your statement. Because you've been paying mostly front-loaded interest for 2 years, you still owe the bank $32,000. You now have $7,000 of negative equity. This is exactly how the death spiral starts. You were trapped. You would have to pay $7,000 out of pocket just to get rid of the car and walk away. Gary knows you don't have that $7,000, so he offers to make the problem disappear. He tells you to forget the cash and focus on the new minivan. He takes that $7,000 of old debt and rolls it directly into the principal of your next loan. The minivan's base price is already high, but that glowing red block of old debt slams onto the top, creating a bloated principal. This massive balance stretches over another 84 months, curving back to form a never-ending spiral of payments. This rollover mechanism is a wealth destruction machine. It ensures that even as you drive newer cars, you are always paying for the ghosts of your past mistakes, guaranteeing you stay broke forever. When you roll negative equity from an old trade-in into a new car loan, you are essentially financing a ghost. You end up paying interest on a vehicle you don't even own anymore. This debt compounds. You pay for the new minivan, plus the ghost of the old truck. Then, 3 years later, you trade the minivan in, and you roll that combined negative equity into the next car loan. Your payment jumps to over $1,000 a month. I have seen people driving $50,000 cars with $80,000 loans. They are completely trapped. They can't sell the car because they don't have the cash on hand to cover the massive difference between what the car is worth and what they owe the bank. They also can't afford to get into an accident. If they total the car without gap insurance, the bank will personally sue them for the remaining balance. They do not own a car. They are driving a rolling financial prison. Let's run the real math on how much this trap costs your future. If you pay $1,000 a month from age 25 to age 35, that is $120,000 completely gone, handed over to a bank for a depreciating piece of metal. Now, consider the alternative. You buy a reliable used car for $300 a month, and you redirect that extra $700 into a basic S&P 500 index fund. This chart shows the dramatic difference between those two choices. While the expensive car's retained value flatlines at zero, investing that $700 a month at an average 8% return builds an exponential curve. By the time you turn 35, that invested money is worth over $128,000. And if we let that money sit until you turn 65, without adding another dime, that single decade of avoiding a massive car payment snowballs past $1.2 million. Driving a slightly less cool car in your 20s could make you a millionaire by retirement. That new car smell is costing you exactly $1 million. But if we zoom out, we find that this accumulation of bad debt goes far beyond individual choices. It is built up into a fragile, systemic bubble across the entire economy. During the pandemic, the economy experienced an unnatural boom. Government stimulus checks put cash directly into bank accounts. And with interest rates sitting at near zero, borrowed money felt free. People rushed out and eagerly bought vehicles way over sticker price. They locked in massive $1,000 monthly payments under the illusion that this favorable economic environment would last forever. Then the music stopped. Inflation hit. Groceries doubled in price and rent soared. Suddenly, that $1,000 auto payment became a massive burden. As the cost of basic survival skyrocketed, making those monthly car payments became mathematically impossible for millions of drivers. Forced to choose between buying food or paying for their cars, drivers are abandoning their loans. People are letting the repo man take the vehicle in the middle of the night, and repossessions are quietly skyrocketing. This creates a toxic scenario for lenders. The banks are reclaiming these cars, but the vehicles are mathematically worth far less than the heavily inflated loans attached to them. This forces financial institutions to absorb massive losses. When banks lose money, they panic and tighten up lending. Dealerships get frozen out, leaving their lots packed with stagnant inventory. Without sales, factories have to slow down their manufacturing lines, dragging down the wider economy. We have normalized a toxic level of debt just to get around. We are constantly told that a brand new $70,000 luxury SUV is a status symbol, a direct reflection of your worth as a human being. But the statistics show a completely different reality. The richest people usually drive 10-year-old Hondas. They reject the status game entirely, preferring a reliable car while actively building actual net worth instead of polishing rims they don't even own yet. True financial freedom is not defined by what you drive. It is defined entirely by the money you keep. Buy something boring, keep your money, and step out of the trap entirely.